We're counting down the 8 most haunting discoveries from the sunken Arctic convoy disaster. From scattered wrecks located decades later to chilling traces of desperate survival and moments of command betrayal, each entry reveals a new layer of error and loss frozen beneath the ice. Which finding exposed the darkest truth of all? Let's begin with number 8. In 2015, Norwegian surveyors scanning the Barents Sea with sonar detected 3 silent hulks resting between 200 and 300 meters below the icy surface. The ships SS Hanemu, SS Carlton, and SS Earlston were scattered miles apart, each a casualty of Convoy PQ-17's disastrous fate. Precise measurements of their hulls matched wartime records, confirming their identities after more than 70 years lost. These discoveries became possible only after a border agreement in 2010 opened the once restricted gray zone to research. Preserved by Arctic cold, the wrecks stand as the first verifiable evidence of the scattered convoy's final positions. Arctic water temperatures hovered just above freezing, enough to sap life in minutes. When HMS Matabele went down, 238 men plunged into the Barents Sea. Only 2 survived. The cold was so intense that even reaching a life raft offered little hope. Carly floats meant to save lives were frozen solid in their lashings. Sailors' hands turned numb before they could untie them. Some who managed to cling on faced a new threat: depth charges detonating below, set off by the sinking destroyer. In these waters, the window for rescue was measured in a 5-minute span. After that, the cold claimed nearly everyone. SS Troubadour's crew faced the Arctic with little more than paint, linen, and hope. Working in silence, they covered every inch of the hull and superstructure with white paint, draping strips of linen over railings and deck gear to blend into the surrounding ice. On the open deck, Sherman tanks were arranged in a protective ring, their guns loaded and ready for a fight that might never come. The ship's engines were stopped, fires banked to hide any trace of smoke. For days, the Troubadour sat frozen in the pack ice, each man waiting in the cold, hoping the camouflage would fool the Luftwaffe circling overhead. This improvised disguise bought precious time, allowing the ship to slip through the Barents Sea, one of only 4 from the convoy that would eventually reach safety. At 9:23 p.m. on July 4th, 1942, a single signal crackled across the Arctic airwaves. Convoy is to scatter. In that instant, the merchant ships of the Convoy PQ-17 lost their shield. Royal Navy escorts, acting on Admiralty orders, turned west and steamed away, leaving the convoy exposed in open water. The order was triggered by reports that the German battleship Tirpitz was hunting for them, but Tirpitz never left its Norwegian fjord. With the convoy now fragmented, each ship became a lone target for U-boats and Luftwaffe bombers. Over the next week, 24 of 35 ships were lost, cargo, lives, and hope swallowed by the Barents Sea. The disaster began with those 3 words, dooming hundreds to isolation and despair. Inside the sunken hulls, the Arctic cold has locked away fragments of ordinary life. Letters, still sealed after 70 years, rest alongside faded photographs that never reached home. Mess tables remain set, plates and mugs lie undisturbed, as if the crew might return at any moment. At gun stations, equipment sits ready, waiting for hands that will never come back. The freezing depths have preserved these scenes almost perfectly, turning each wreck into a silent archive of interrupted routines and unfinished stories. Through these small personal traces, the distant tragedy of PQ-17 becomes heartbreakingly close. 153 merchant seamen vanished with the ships of PQ-17. Their bodies were never recovered. The Barents Sea's freezing currents carried them away or locked them inside the steel hulls that now rest on the ocean floor. Survivors described seeing frozen corpses drifting among the ice floes, faces still and untouched by time. These wrecks are more than scattered metal. They are war graves, protected by international law and left undisturbed. Each silent hull holds the final story of men lost without a trace, a human toll that cannot be measured in cargo or tonnage alone. The steamship Pan-Atlantic's final moments unfolded in chaos and fire. At 6:10 in the evening, 2 bombs from a German Ju-88 bomber slammed into her decks, igniting the cordite stored below. The explosion tore the ship apart, severing her forward section ahead of the bridge. Within 3 minutes, the Pan-Atlantic slipped beneath the surface. It was so fast that no distress signal could be sent. Survivors were thrown into water just above freezing, fighting for a place on any floating wreckage. Seaman Donald Naggetts, hurled from his gun, clung to ice until he found a raft. To survive, he pushed aside a dead body lying across it and climbed aboard, drifting alone for a day before rescue. The air still crackled with the sound of other ships' radios, each message a signal of another disaster. For those left behind, survival demanded choices that haunted them long after the Arctic silence returned. Admiral Dudley Pound gave the order that left the convoy exposed, acting on reports that proved false. Rear Admiral Hamilton, who relayed the message, bore the blame in the aftermath, while Pound was shielded from public scrutiny. The Soviet government refused to accept the scale of the disaster, accusing the Allies of hiding the truth. Churchill called what happened to PQ-17 the most melancholy naval episode of the entire war. Across all 8 discoveries, one truth emerges. Human error, not just enemy fire, doomed PQ-17. The Arctic still guards the cost of command failure, reminding us that leadership decisions echo forever.